I have struggled with life-ending thoughts for most of my life. Even if I go long seasons where I don't have them, it's really easy for me to pick them back up again when I feel at the bottom of the well. And I want to normalize talking about wanting to end it all because it almost feels like a normal emotion on the spectrum that so many of us experience, and these are some ways that I've been coping with these thoughts. I know that it feels like the most vulnerable thing that you could possibly feel is wanting to die, but the truth is it's wanting to live. And I know that this might sound really simple, but it really reframed something in my mind recently, knowing that, oh, it's just life that feels really hard and not my attachment to constantly escaping. It makes me a little bit more curious. Could it be simpler? Could I be making my world slightly more gentle, slightly more wholesome and manageable? When you are having suicidal ideations, you're creating a concrete narrative about life, that life is challenging, life is embarrassing, your existence means nothing. And that is not the reality of life. Life is full of every emotion. It's full of highs and lows, seasons of joy and oneness and wonderment, and seasons of sadness and grief, which also to me, I'm learning is life also brewing. Whenever I'm feeling in a deeply sad season, I know that I'm picking up things that are really important as I venture forward into the next season. And life is a contradiction. It is so heavy to hold, especially what's going on in the world right now. And I'm going to speak to it, the rising fascism in the US, the oligarchy that we are currently seeing, the displacement, the genocide of people in Palestine, and also just this ongoing fight between men and women, the masculine and the feminine. And it is immensely heavy to hold all of that. It's immensely hard to give ourselves permission to feel moments of joy and celebration, but those are also taking place right now too. Miracles are also happening right now too, and that is the truth of life. I will not die lying to myself. At the very least, when I've been having these thoughts lately, I'm like, let me die really believing in what I'm doing. And if I were to make this choice because I truly believe that life is just all terrible and that I'm terrible, if I truly got to the point where that was the reality, then I'd be like, okay, objectively, there's nothing I can do to change the situation. But that's not the case for all of us. The case is that we need help and support holding the contradiction, and you can get that help from yourself, from the people around you, from knowing and expecting life to be hard, and knowing and expecting that life will also be light and joyous and easy, and allowing that too. Ask yourself, how do I get the support I need to hold the complexity of life? Who wants to hold it with me? Who wants to have these conversations? Make suicidal thoughts a call to action. So whenever you feel them, of course, you might have moments of surrendering to it, might have moments of ideating, might have moments of really imagining how much easier it would be to place your overwhelm down and just escape. Take a breath and ask yourself, how can I bring love into this moment? Or what part of me is trying to die? What part of my life no longer fits here? What part of my belief system? I know for me, having life-ending thoughts I've struggled with for over 10 years. So even when I have a whole year of not feeling them, when they come back, it feels like an old friend. And I know that the part of me that I need to surrender, the part of me that does need to die, is the part of me that doubts and questions and doesn't feel worthy of the beautiful karma that I'm living all around me. I have every opportunity in this life, and I feel like if you're watching this video, you are privileged enough to have a phone, to have technology. You have privileges in this life, and I just imagine maybe in a life before this or in the in-between worlds, I asked for everything that I'm learning right now. I asked for all the privileges that I have because I said, hey, this is going to help me get to where I need to go. This is going to help me serve my mission, help humanity, whatever your goal is. You can just imagine that you asked for everything that you have, and imagine giving that up and going back to that in-between space and being like, well, you know, I had a family, I was middle class, I wasn't like, you know, super struggling all the time. I wasn't super rich, but I had enough. And you just kind of go through all the miracles in your life and you're like, I guess I had a perfect foundation to be well, but I just gave up because I didn't feel strong enough. You know, I couldn't imagine saying that to whatever greater power, just feeling that within me in the liminal space. Like, I had people that loved me. I had a family that broke my heart, but they tried to fix it and were trying. I was able to travel and see the world, and that wasn't enough for me. It wasn't proof enough that I was worthy. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't do that, take my karma for granted that heavily, and I will not doubt or curse my blessings. I will not tell them that they're not enough. Not saying that life isn't hard just because you have a family and because you have financial stability, but it's like this can be evidence that you are being supported and that if you wanted to, you could change the circumstances around. But I have made an internal contract with myself. It's not until there's absolutely no evidence that life is good that I will be okay leaving this earth, you know? As long as there's even the tiniest bit of evidence that life is also beautiful and joyous and light, then I'm gonna stay here. And maybe you can make that contract with yourself as well, because then you just start searching for that evidence and you find that there's so much of it. Even the earth loving us. You have to surrender anything that is keeping you stuck and heavy and sad and unable to hold the heaviness of life, whether that's a job, a friend, a habit. Your life is precious. Your mental clarity is precious. You need to take radical responsibility over this precious gift that you've been given, and how fucking cool you are. Like, whoever's watching this, I know that you have really niche interests and cool hobbies and quirks, and I know that the universe inside of you is so unique and sweet and just wants to share love, and that is such a beautiful thing. I invite you to write down how God sees you, or how spirit sees you, or how your favorite tree sees you, this beautiful human who just comes and crawls on it and reads books and cries and has moments of frustration, but who always reaches out to love. And that's another big thing that I've been feeling lately, is the part of me that needs to die is the part that is afraid to reach back out to all the love that is reaching out to me in my life. We all have little hands of love reaching out to us, but when we're depressed, we kind of just like put this big blanket over us and cocoon ourselves in and pretend that nothing else is happening out there. But you know, for me, I'm just like, can I take the blanket off my head and just start reaching out and really believing people when they tell me that they love me? Start reaching back out to the hands of love in your life. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there are seasons when I just feel like the lightest person on earth, and I'm like, wow, I'm healed. I have no more density. I have no more struggles with mental health. But then I'm like floored and humbled in the next month. And that's kind of how it goes with mental health. It's a bunch of little moments of you allowing yourself to feel that life is worth living. It's not immediate, and don't be surprised if these thoughts come back, if the density comes back. Try to like expect it and know like, okay, I'm gearing myself up. I'm gonna fill myself with all this love and joy and trust. And anytime that you feel even a moment of peace, like really anchor it deeply into yourself. Really breathe it in. Sit with yourself. Tell your body, thank you, I'm so happy I'm here. And really try to remember it in the cells of your body, in your nervous system. Maybe you even write a letter to your future self, like, I actually do love life, and this is why, and write out specifically how you feel and how good it can be. This practice of feeling very deeply without attachment. I'm gonna feel the joy and the greatness and my own worth so fully when it's there. Feel the infinite feeling of that, but maybe it will pass. And when I'm sad, I have to recognize and understand I can feel that so deeply, and it's also going to pass. So I'm gonna welcome and invite whatever the lesson is, or I'm gonna invite safety into my body. I trust myself enough to see clearly through all the changing tides, through all the changing emotions, and not build complete narratives out of it. At least not build complete narratives out of the heavy ones. Basically, just honor those peak moments, cherish those peak moments, and use them for strength, draw upon them. That's why I really like to pray when I'm in beautiful places in nature, or I feel really good. I'm like, let me cast so much protection from this energetic space, so much hope into my life from this space of deep remembrance, and then maybe when I don't have the courage or strength to in the future, I can remember how I once felt. And it is kind of a cycle. Surviving suicidal thoughts is a continuum, but every single time you are generating more information, you are finding new ways to cope, and that is all immensely beneficial. And for any of you who have dealt with this regularly, you are so strong, you're so resilient, and I'm so proud of you for constantly facing these feelings and for the world of depth that lives inside of you because of that. That is so special and so rare. And I'm so happy you're here, and you truly do belong here. Everything about you truly does belong here and is genuine medicine for the world and for the people in your life. Some simple integration you can do in your life right now. Ask your friends to send you a voice memo of why they love you, or your family, anyone who you feel really close to. Say, hey, I've been going through a hard time. Maybe you don't say that part, But I would love to receive a voice memo of all the things you love about me. So exchange a audio love letter to each other, and you can listen to this anytime that you're in a deep space of questioning, because I know when I want to die, I literally can't find a single reason why I should be here, why I'm cool, why I benefit the world. And so hearing that will cut through any of those narratives you're having. And I think having it in audio format gives you that warmth and the somatic audio resonance of someone you love. Tell me why you love me. And this is very healing to do with family, especially if it feels kind of weird and vulnerable. Like my dad, who's very stoic, asking him this felt kind of like, I don't know if he's up to this prompt, but let's see what he does with it. And beautiful things can come from this. So do that, save all the audio messages, tell them to do it as an audio recording on the recording app on the phone versus a voice memo, because then you can save them all into a folder. And when you're sad, you just hit play, 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 and then spend time believing it. Spend time really believing it. When people say that they love you, when people compliment you, I can barely read comments on YouTube because y'all are so nice and I don't want to believe it about myself. But that's a practice I'm going to try, is seeing these really sweet things about me and being like, maybe I made someone feel that way, and I'm going to let myself believe that I had a good impact on someone and breathe into it. So spend time believing the good things. And also feeling it in your body. I mentally can tell myself okay, yeah, I am worthy, I am having an impact. But physically in my body, I feel like I don't give my body that much of a chance to feel joy and lightness and belonging. So I've been telling my body, these are the reasons I have to live. This is what love feels like. I'm gonna love you. I just talk to it like it's a child, maybe even just hold your inner child and just be like, it is such an honor to play with you and know you, and thank you for keeping me safe and taking me to all the most beautiful places, body. I'm gonna keep you safe. I'm going to show you what love is. The wizard Liz on here, I really do love her. She definitely has given me some pep talks in my bottom of the well moments, but she said she was being abused by her parents, but then later in life she was abusing herself even worse. And I feel like that's true for a lot of us, that we carry on the abuse and we don't even realize it, we don't take ownership of it, but we don't have to keep being symptoms of the abuse we experienced, but we can cut those cords and be so good to ourselves. And that's a pact I like to make with my body. I'm gonna be so good to you. You're gonna remember what love is. You're gonna remember what it feels like to be cherished. You're gonna remember what it feels like to have consent. Really communicate with it. It's your ally and it's your friend. It's a form of evidence that we are blessed and there is harmony in life. And you're not alone, because your body is there breathing and pulsing and holding your little consciousness. Create boundaries and self-trust. This could look like creating boundaries with really anything that's keeping you overwhelmed and taking that radical responsibility over yourself and your mental space. It's a deeply intimate thing, the habits and the ways we treat ourselves when no one's watching, when we're alone, when we're feeling down. In what ways can you take control? In what ways can you take ownership over your suffering? What ways are you exacerbating your suffering right now? And what can you do to resolve that? I really like having habit trackers on my phone, and I also have been really loving going to yoga classes and having that containered, that discipline that I'm signing up for, I'm paying for it, so I'm going to show up. And even just having one good habit every single day makes it easier to ripple out other forms of love. So self-boundaries, self-trust, it makes it a lot easier to love yourself and be kind to yourself, because you're literally giving yourself evidence. You're like, oh yeah, I am worthy of love because I did this one singular act of love. So duh, of course I deserve to be here. Of course I'm worthy of love. If you want to feel differently, you do have to live differently, and acting out of love regularly is something that will create layers of protection around you so that it's harder to go back down, plummeting to the bottom of the well, It's like creating many staircases, many pathways. It's another thing that gets built over time, this momentum, this trust. If you can go somewhere completely new, it's so much easier to rewrite your habits and thought patterns in a new environment, especially when you have good community around, if possible. I know that's a privilege, but even doing some volunteer work, entering a new community space could be a great thing. Even just going to a museum, going to a museum once a week and having outreach with the world in some way. And lastly, something that feels really relevant, of course, staying in touch, knowing the news, but filling your world with beauty. Maybe you don't want to fully unplug from the world, and that's valid, but maybe the equal amount of time that you spend kind of absorbing really heavy shit, you spend absorbing really light, beautiful things, and you listen to stories, and you watch really beautiful films, and you don't watch anything scary or heavy or deeply emotional. You only flood your mind and your world with really wonderful things, stories and fairy tales and kids movies. I really love hearing stories from elders, from women. I find it very empowering. Something I've been doing also is researching more about revolutions of the past. Fill your world with things that give you hope. I feel so ready to reach back out to the love around me, and I hope that you can start feeling some will and some momentum, and just know that, like I said, it's a continuum. It's something I've been struggling with for literally my whole life, and it really sneaks up on me sometimes, feeling like, damn, I'm so overwhelmed. I literally would just rather not be here. But I'm reframing that. It's not that I don't want to be here. It's that I need my life to be a little bit more chill, and I am going to make it more chill, you know? It's not that I want to die. It's that I really want to live, and I just need it to be slightly easier. I need help making my life feel worthwhile and actually life-giving. So thank you so much for receiving this and for reaching out to hope. This is an act of love, you watching this video. I thank you so much. I do want to address one really weird DM that I got a few months ago that is weird to bring into this space, but they were basically like, you are faking everything. I'm so devastated to learn that you never struggled with mental health, and you're a fraud and all this stuff. I actually don't even quite remember the wording, but they were basically saying that I was faking my sadness and my whole mental health journey. And I was like, this is so wild. Like, I wonder why they think that. They're like, I've never seen a scar on your body. And I'm like, for me, it would feel more shocking if I didn't struggle with mental health. I'm like, I kind of am suspicious of people who have never felt depressed or suicidal or any anxiety. I'm like, that is actually weird to me. I think it'd be harder to find someone who didn't feel that than to find someone who has. But I actually did find a video of me back in the day with self-harm scars, and I wore bracelets a lot so it would hide them, but I have scars on my body that I can see right now, but they just healed without being raised and without getting dark. They're very light. I don't need to show you every scar on my body or my medical records, but if it got to that place, I literally would, because I don't really care that much. And what I really want to say is the reason that I share this is because it's helpful to me to put everything out there in a consolidated way. Also because I really want to normalize these conversations. I feel like everyone at some point has wanted to die, so why don't we talk about it? It's such a valid emotion in this world. That's why I share. It's not for money, it's not for clickbait, it's not for, I don't even know what else it would be about, but I do know that being relatable is like this trend right now, but I've been doing this for like over 10 years. I started talking about suicidal thoughts when what was cool was like Alexis Ren and showing off your convertible and your Louis Vuitton bags. That was the world that I entered this mental health space in. I talk about it when it's true for me and when it comes up, because these videos really are an accurate representation of the timeline of my growth and my healing. I have nothing else to share but my experience. Honestly, that was such a weird DM to get, but just in case anyone else might be feeling that way or just wondering why I come in hot with these videos every now and then, it's simply because I'm putting these pieces into place within myself. I hope that it can help someone out there. Honestly, like, that's my greatest wish, is that someone feels a slight bit of comfort or hope from my videos. So thank you so much for being here just as you are. Even if you're a hater, it's okay. Thank you for trying to live. Thank you for reaching out to the hands of love. I know that it's really hard and vulnerable to be what feels like raw dogging life, to just be rewriting so many things and feel so vulnerable and naked, but I really do trust that you'll slowly begin to cloth yourself with layers of protection and love through your actions, through your community, through letting people love you back. May it be so. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in a video soon. Bye. Okay, bye.